we're there. We're at the same point in the show, and there's just nothing.
Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on.
Run. Welcome to Podagus, your friendly eight-legged dog bus companion to the 2020 Digimon Adventure reboot. This week we're discussing episode 60, Vikemon Ventures the Glaciers. I'm your host, Jeff Ruberg, and for my guest this week, you've probably seen his reviews of Digimon on YouTube. I'm excited to welcome Billiam.
Hello. I'm very excited to talk about Digimon. I just can always take the opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm always excited to take the opportunity to listen to you talk about Digimon.
Oh, well, thank you.
So for people who aren't familiar with, well, actually, even I am familiar with your work, and these are some answers, questions I don't know about, but what's your Digimon backstory? Like, how'd you get into the franchise, and like what parts, and do you prefer dubbed anime or subbed anime, that kind of stuff?
I actually don't have a preference on dubbed or subbed. I grew up with the dub, so I'm okay with the dub, which I feel like if you do really have a strong preference, usually it's, well, I actually don't want to speak for everyone, but I do tend to see that subbed people have much harsher opinions of the dub than vice versa. But I enjoy both. I've seen more of the dub, so I'm much more familiar with it. But I, watch all the movies subbed because I much prefer those versions. But I like the Digimon voices subbed. I could go on for this one question for a long time. I don't remember how I got into Digimon. I have some early memories as a kid of looking at like a Sneemon card and having the VHS tapes, but I can't recall if I saw it on TV first or if somebody showed it to me. It was just something that, I was 96 baby, so I was only 3 or 4 when it was getting real popular.
I guess like a slightly tangential question to that is like, how did you get into covering it on your YouTube channel? Was it always something you wanted to cover?
Yeah, I think so. I think I wanted to stop. I was doing a lot of video game stuff. I guess if you're describing my content now, it's very like millennium era nostalgia. And I was doing a lot of video game stuff, and I wanted to transition out of that. And something I was very confident talking about was the English dub of Digimon. And it was just something I wanted to revisit, and I revisited every couple of years. And it was, I just noticed not a lot of people were doing a lot of, scripted Digimon content. And there were I remember back on the Channel Awesome website, I think it's Heizu Otaku or Jesu Otaku. I don't know.
I don't know how you pronounce that. I always thought it was Jesu.
Yeah, but they were working on a big retrospective, and I think they made it up to Tamers. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I always wanted to do it after that, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know what that's like, because that was a big inspiration for me too. Podcasts are a totally different medium, but I was kind of like, oh man, like those videos got through up to Tamers, but like, and I think there was like one other video essayist I could find at the time, but like they weren't on YouTube anymore, and it was like, yeah, so it's nice that now there's like, with your content and some others, like a renaissance.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool people popping up. Yeah.
Okay, onto a quick lightning round.
Yes.
And it's weird because like I've heard you like talk about all the seasons, but what's your favorite season?
It's a tough question for me. I generally I don't love favorite questions because like I love different qualities about all of them, and also I think Digimon 2020 is making me rethink a lot about what I appreciate about Digimon, and I'm wanting to revisit all the old shows. And we can talk about that a little bit more. But I think Adventure is probably my safe answer.
So who's your favorite Digimon?
I think it's like I have a 3-way tie. I just have trouble picking, but I really like Vmon, Agumon, and Gomamon have always been my very consistent favorites ever since I was a kid, those 3.
Favorite villain?
My favorite villain? I should have thought about this. I like, I say I like Myotismon a lot, and I also like the final human, I forget his name, the final human villain of 02, and also just Ken in his first arc, I think is also a really good Digimon villain. I'm trying to think through the other series though as well, so I don't like miss any. But I think those 2 are pretty solid, or those 3.
Yeah, I think especially the ones that get redeemed in the end, like those are always my favorite too.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that new 02 movie coming out.
Yeah, there's still so little like actual evidence to go on about that.
I know, it's just a little teaser. That's all we're gonna have for like 2.5 years.
Yeah. And who's your favorite adventure character?
I think right now for 2020, it's Mimi for sure. Yeah, if we're talking 2020, I would need to rewatch Adventure. But one that sticks out to me now, just in juxtaposition to her 2020 counterpart, is Sora. I really like Sora's characterization in the original Adventure, and I'm appreciating her a lot more now. That I think a lot of the aspects of her that I don't love, that I do love, are not in the present character. So modern Mimi, original Sora right now.
And if Goemon's always been one of your favorites, was Joe up there when you originally watched it?
Yeah, I think he was. It's tough to remember because I do always remember liking Tai. And I do remember liking Joe and loving Zudomon. I have one of the Zudomon little like skateboard figures, and it was one of my favorite Digimon toys I had as a kid. And I loved his hammer and all that. And I always wished there was more of him. And I do remember liking Joe a lot. I thought he and Gomamon always had a great relationship.
Actually, wait, now I'm curious because if you were only like 3 or 4 when Digimon was airing, how old were you when you first like saw it? Was it on like reruns years later?
So no, I saw it while it was on Fox Kids still. So I remember 02 starting. And I remember thinking it was the Digimon movie, like cut up into episodes. It like confused me like a lot because it took me a couple of weeks to see the Digimon movie, I think. And so 02 started. No, I saw the Digimon movie before I saw 02. And so I was surprised to see it wasn't just the Digimon movie. But I do remember when that started airing. And then I had all of the the original Adventure VHS tapes. And that has like the first 9 episodes and then the end of the Myotismon arc and like 2 or 3 episodes of the Dark Masters arc leading up to the fight with Piedmon at the end. And then I had seen probably an extra 25 episodes besides those. I had not seen all of them until YouTube came about, which is when I finally sat down and watched all of it, like uploaded into 3 episode, like 3 parts.
The 3 episode parts, like
yeah.
I had dial-up at the time, so I had to like queue up all 3 parts and then like come back 3 hours later and watch them. Yeah, I was curious about that because like I was like I guess like 8 or 9 when I saw it, and like I did not appreciate Joe at that age. Even it took until I was an adult to really appreciate him. I thought he was just like a wet blanket. So I'm surprised that as a kid he was okay for you.
I think I liked Vmon because Vmon was blue, and I think Joe having blue hair, like I think I kind of liked that aspect of him. I mean, like I was 3 or 4, so like it's real simple reasons.
Well, what's your hottest Digimon take?
My hottest Digimon take is that like it's a series that doesn't have like a best way about it, I guess. That there's all these different takes on it, and I think doing whatever's best for the story is what you should do rather than adhering to. I don't like Digimon lore. That's a hot take. I have no interest in Yggdrasil or homeostasis. None of that. Like I would like to see the characters we're talking about. Unless Yggdrasil's like a 3D orb or like a Alienware PC as it looks like in Digimon Savers. So that's my hot take. I don't like Digimon lore.
Yeah, I feel like in Savers they like. I was gonna say when they give characterization to like Marcus's dad, but not to Yggdrasil, King Drazel. Sorry.
Yeah, King Drazel.
Yeah, it's homeostasis also is a whole other huge can of worms.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not what I was hoping they'd go back to, I guess, when the Try came about.
Yeah, I remember when it first was name dropped in the first Try film that they name dropped it. Like it was like, oh man, they're going deep on this lore, and then by the end, it's like, okay, what does going deep on the lore actually get you? Like,
yeah, no, I can't. I cannot tell you what the plot to that movie, what those movies are. I really could. I could tell you like plot beats and things that happen in Try. But how, Yggdrasil and homeostasis's secret little fight they're having behind the scenes plays into it all. Like, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, well, okay, speaking of 3 things, what 3 Digimon characters would you invite to a dinner party?
Oh, well, Mimi. Hopefully Mimi would be having the dinner party, actually.
Yeah, she'd be a good host.
Yes, I think Mimi would be an excellent hostess. Who would make good conversation? Are we talking about Digimon or Digimon like human characters?
Either Digimon or human characters.
Okay, so I'd want Mimi to host. I mean, Palmon would have to be there. So there's 2 of the 3. And then I guess like one of Mimi's friends from Digimon 2020 that she's made, like what is it, Golemon? I think having a tea party with the three of them would just be next level enjoyment.
That'd be great. So I guess there's two folds to this question, but in general, I'm curious what your impression of Adventure 2020 overall has been. But also, like having, like, maybe I shouldn't put words in your mouth, but having watched the Baby Flame episodes, which are at this point, like, I think the last one that's been published was like episode 34.
Yeah, the next one coming out goes up to 45.
Oh, okay. So, like, yeah, I'm curious how you thought about it overall, and also like how your thoughts have evolved for people who have seen those videos, how it's in general evolved since those episodes.
It's hard to tell because I can't remember what I've said that isn't out yet.
Oh yeah, that's fair. It's hard to
because we have recorded 2 episodes. So I'm trying to think. So what is episode 40 of Digimon Adventure?
That is a tough question.
Digimon Adventure 2020 episode 40. If I could figure this out.
Oh, that was the Sora soccer.
Oh yeah, that's the Sora one. I think Digimon Adventure 2020 has come around on a lot of loose ends that seemed like they were going nowhere to become satisfying a little bit. But it's taken a long time. So this is the updated thing, my updated opinions before my holistic opinions. So I think they lay a lot of seeds early on that get paid off way too late, like Devimon and learning about like Devimon and Angemon. As well as some of the character development takes a long time to happen too. I'm trying to. It's hard to catch up with my opinions. I could probably give a more better holistic view. I like Digimon Adventure week to week, but it does nothing for me. Like, its holistic picture does nothing for me. And it's been something really great to have, especially during like the pandemic, to be like, poppy and fun and, familiar. And I think it's had some great high moments. I think some of its high moments and some of its great standout episodes have been a lot, like, almost just as exciting and on par with, if not better, than some of the exciting and great moments of the original show. But as a whole, it just does not come together to be anything that means something to me, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, it's been fun popcorn entertainment, and like I'm in like I've kind of been envious of your podcast format, because it's like, oh man, like, I feel like I would enjoy these episodes a lot more if I was talking about them in chunks instead of one by one. Because, like,
yeah,
in talking about one by one, it's like, oh, sometimes you kind of feel like it kind of like talked about all the meat that there was on the bone.
Yeah, and sometimes I find I appreciate episodes I didn't like as much because I watch it week to week because I'm real impatient. Everyone else on the podcast waits and watches it in bunches. But when I do sit back down and watch it all in a batch of 5 episodes all together, a lot of the times I do appreciate it a lot more. The episodes, at least.
Yeah, it seems like it's a great, like, definition of like popcorn entertainment. Like, you watch it, goes in and out, or in one ear out the other ear, and it's like,
yeah, a lot of the time.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't leave like the strongest impression, but like, it was a fun experience.
Yeah. And there has been a few moments, though. I don't think in terms of character work, like in terms of like the holistic series, but in terms of like, I'm a great appreciator of like episodic TV. Like, I really like one-off TV episodes. Like, I love The Twilight Zone, and I like when shows do take moments away from the plot, and this shows all moments away from the plot. So I do really, really like a lot of those one-off episodes, like the Rebellimon episode and Lilymon's debut. Though this episode today, actually, I think has who knows how I'm gonna feel about this as it, like, time passes and goes on. But I do feel like it's had its moments that has made me been glad it's happened, because this reboot was never going to be something that like lived up to the original. And so just to get anything with the Digimon Adventure characters that I like has been like a treat.
Yeah. And I feel like I've enjoyed how it, having the original Adventure characters, even if the characterization, like you're saying, hasn't been particularly strong with them or anything, but like, it's still like, we all have like nostalgic attachment to these characters, so like, seeing them do new things is inherently fun.
Yeah, just little adventures. It's cute, and I smile a lot while watching it. And I think it's just fine.
Yeah, I'd be really curious, because I haven't really rewatched other seasons as a whole while watching the season at all. Like, I'm curious how going back and like watching an entire Adventure or 02 or Tamers or whatever would feel after watching this show, and be like, see them in stark contrast.
It makes me want to rewatch Frontier a lot. Because I did not like Frontier while I was watching it. And I think part of the reason why is because at that point, I was just trying to get through all of Digimon to make videos, like to get all the videos out. And I would like to rewatch all of them, maybe in a podcast format. But the Frontier, I felt like, I remember thinking about the pacing a lot during my watch through of Frontier, and I'm wondering if me being able to grow and appreciate some of these episodic episodes in 2020 will make me be able to appreciate Frontier a little bit more for what it was.
I mean, I don't know I guess this is different in your experience because you were like rushing through and doing like the entire season in one go, but my experience whenever I've revisited Digimon seasons is that like right now I feel kind of similarly with Frontier being up in my like really want to revisit list, and then I'm sure once I watch it I'll be like, it wasn't as good as I remembered, and then like a couple of years will pass and I'll be like, oh, now it went back to the top of the list again, and I watch it again, and then it's like,
I just like Digimon. Like I'll just always rewatch these, even like I'm opening some of the cards. And I'm feeling nostalgic for Digimon Cross Wars and Fusion, which I never liked.
Yeah,
but I'm just looking at all the characters, and I'm like, I want to rewatch this. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, the nostalgia engine is working.
It is, and there's not many things that I'm going to buy into for the nostalgia engine, so I'm not going to complain when Digimon does it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the future of the franchise now that they seem to be like heading towards new and interesting things.
Yeah, I'm curious. I feel like they're gonna snap back to safety again.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised, and even with the Digimon 02 movie, that we end up getting like a second season of this reboot, because apparently as it's gone on, like the later stuff has like apparently been performing a lot better. And I think in some international territories, it's been doing really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they would come back to this at some point. Not that I would love that, but I mean, who knows how Ghost Game will do. Apparently the bands are all doing super successfully, like the fitness ones.
Yeah, the Vital Bracelet.
Yeah, so it's just it's an interesting time. It could go off and do a bunch of new stuff, or it could end up, snapping back to safety. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel like I was worried that this reboot, what it would have proved to Toei was that like Digimon only succeeds if Taichi is there.
I especially in these last like 10 episodes or so.
Yeah. And so I feel like Ghost Game and, potentially 02 movie, depending on what it actually focuses on. I feel like Ghost Game might be like the ultimate test bed for that theory. Like if it does well, then Digimon can move forward and not just be Taichi. And if it doesn't do well, yeah, it's just Taichi.
I could see it being like a 20 episode series though. I mean, who knows? Like it could be anything. I could see it being something like Dragon Ball Heroes. But I hope it's just a great series, because I'm wanting to see just interesting stuff from the show, I guess.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I guess we should hop on a Blimpmon for a school field trip into this week's episode, in this week's Adventure 2020 episode 60, Vikemon Ventures the Glaciers, aka JoJo's Blizzard Adventure, Part 2, Viking Tendency. And spoiler policy, like always, we'll be talking about everything included in the episode on Crunchyroll, which includes title and preview for next week and anything in original Adventure or 02, but we'll give you a warning if we spoil anything, late stage from other seasons. There have been titles and synopses for up to episode 64 released, which we won't talk about in the main episode, but we will have a segment at the end if you want to join in those spoilers. We'll give you a warning before that. But yeah, this week on Digimon Adventure, parentheses 2020, square bracket, The Adventure of Taichi, Joe and his hot spring cohort get kicked out of the hot springs because they've dried up. They end up wandering a blizzard, and on the verge of collapsing, Mimi saves them with a Blimpmon that they were riding on a school field trip. They get attacked by Olegmon's pirate ship. Joe gets captured. Turns out Olegmon is not entirely evil and is kind of reasonable, but Joe decides that he needs to beat him anyway, and that inspires Zudomon to evolve into Vikemon, and they battle. Joe wins, and they go like 5 more feet to a land that is much more prosperous, and everyone wins. Everyone's fine in the end. So what was the point of the battle? Who knows?
I think to get Olegmon in their group, so he can have like one more cool moment before the show ends.
But yeah, how'd you think about the episode overall?
I liked it. I thought it was one of the stronger mega reveals so far, which I have not felt were as strong as I was hoping they were to be. But I thought it was good. And I was worried about the episode description leading up to it, especially because Joe and Komamon had been kidnapped so many times.
Oh, yeah.
But they actually play into that with the episode, with them just being like, let's stop doing this, which I really liked. They're like just cold read of that. Like,
let's just stop getting captured.
Yeah, let's just stop getting captured. Like, you can turn into this giant turtle thing, like, can't fit you. But I think I was a fan of this episode overall. I liked Joe and Mimi together as well. And it reminds me a lot of the original adventure, that they had that little, they went off and gathered the troops before the big final fight. And it kind of was reminiscent of that. And I like all of those Digimon from those little side stories and side areas coming back and all interacting with each other. Like, I never thought Bancho Mamemon and Shogun Gekomon would have a scene together, but it's cute. It's cute. He calls them weird and they're offended by it, which is just it's a cute little interactions that I think the show needed a lot more of from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that comparing it to that arc in Adventure, the original Adventure, where the Joe and Mimi split off is a pretty interesting comparison, because like it totally feels reminiscent of that, but in a way that like shows the difference in how these two series are, what their focus is on. Because like that original arc adventure was like all about both Mimi's character journey, Joe's character journey. Like they both, were doing interesting character development related things while they were together and stuff. And this one is like not about that at all. Don't even think about character development. This episode contradicts Mimi's character quite a bit, but it's fun.
I'm just curious, like, how you think it contradicts her character. I just didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, I wasn't personally too offended by it, but I've seen a bunch of comments complaining about the moment where she like is scared of Legmon and hides behind Joe, and then it leads to a great moment of her pretending to be Joe with the mouth speaking. Yeah, like that was great, but I've seen people complain that like Mimi wouldn't be scared of a Legmon. Like Mimi would be like the girl boss she's been the whole season.
I see that, absolutely. But I also could see Mimi like knowing that Joe wants to be the leader and like letting him have that moment to like, or like making him have that moment. But yeah, she was scared. Yeah, that was, I do agree with that. But obviously it's not something that stood out to me though.
Right, like I didn't really notice it too much at first glance. So it's only once I saw the people point it out and I was like, that's fair. But I think, like it didn't bother me too much because it's like it leads to a fun moment. And I feel like that's what I feel like when this show has been firing on all cylinders, that's where its strength has been, is that like you don't think about the details. It just, is it fun or not?
It's silly.
But like, yeah, I remember early on in the show, it was like there were stretches where it was like there hasn't been a joke in like 5 episodes.
Oh yeah. It was like episode, as soon as they all like 13 to 30 almost. It was a long stretch.
Yeah, so like it's a much almost like that, the fact that Legmon's crew is in a drought and they have to go to a place with more bountiful vegetation. That's how it feels with the show. We left the drought and it's in a better place now.
Yes, it is. It's weird because I heard some, like, I don't know if they're just rumors, but apparently you might know more about this. War Greymon was supposed to be closer to like episode 39 or something like that, but because of COVID, they wanted to get that episode out before a particular convention to reveal the evolution footage. So they had to change the pacing for the whole show to get that out like by then, because they had to do that 9-week delay.
Yeah, I haven't heard that rumor, but
yeah. And I remember the convention. That's why I'm tempted to like believe it, but I have not been able to like source that at all. But I wonder if there was rearrangements where some of these later episodes would have been placed. And I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense with like how long the delay was, between episode 3 and 4, and like if they already had like that plan from the beginning to, like way in advance, and it's like, oh, well, shuffle that one evolution around, like it.
Because it was weird. It's weirdly placed in the show.
Yeah. Well, it's weirdly placed just because like, I don't think it would have been that weird if like More Greymon appeared after that, but then he didn't for like 15 episodes. So.
And neither did Mega Digimon.
Yeah.
It was just this like, okay, Parrotmon came in and became Crossmon, and that's it for a while.
Although I did love when Nidhogmon appeared and was like, that one felt like a more planned, like, this is a power level that doesn't make sense at this point in the series. But I loved how like he had to announce it like, I am the mega level Digimon. Like, great, thanks for that intro.
I hated that when it came out, because it was when the ultimate reveal at the end of like episode 9 when everything was going so well. was such a letdown. And then they're talking about megas so quickly after that, right after it was that 5-episode arc where it was just Ultimate Evolution after Ultimate Evolution, or 6 episodes actually. And then they introduced Mega right after. It was so like exhausting.
Yeah, that I think for me that was still the lowest point of the entire season. Like,
yeah, I think right after Kari got introduced, I think everything started. When she, not when she's introduced, but when she came to the digital world, I think is when things started coming back around. Which I think about this show a lot critically, and I'm wondering, like, did you have to introduce Takaru like as his own separate character? It's just it's a weird show pacing wise.
Yeah, I'm hopeful / excited for Ghost Game, and that like I feel like where the show has like struggled is in having too many characters. So it's like, okay, if they're really going to focus on 3, like that seems much more manageable.
Yeah. I hope, I don't know if I hope it's a more arc heavy show. I would like to see a little bit of story, which, I mean, if you think about Digimon Adventure, it is kind of episodic, but you know, having those big villains teased and having their presence there helps so much. And if you think about, you know, that original arc with Joe and Mimi towards the end of the show, there's also that big, like, that dark, moody cloud over them while they're off doing stuff because they're emotionally exhausted from fighting. And it's getting towards the end of the show, and we're there. We're at the same point in the show, and there's just nothing.
There's just
Argomon. There's Argomon.
Yeah. And Mimi has become a teacher.
Which you know, Mimi can go do whatever she wants to do. I've been enjoying everything Mimi's done in this show.
I feel like so many of my own, when I've like thought through like trying to be like critical analysis mode for the show, it's like every criticism I can levy at it eventually hits a wall that's just like, but is it fun or not? Because if it's fun, who cares? And I feel like that's the ethos of the show. Like, I've seen a lot of people look at like the writing staff or talk about like Ghost Game, and they're like, I hope Ghost Game has different staff because like the Adventure 2020 staff is terrible. And it's like,
I don't agree with that.
I think it's more just like the task they've been given to make this like simple, basic show.
It's very much like Pokemon. What is the new Pokemon show called?
The Journey?
Yeah, it's very in that vein of just like, let's go and explore all these different creatures. And one thing this show does exceptionally well is making me like all the Digimon. Like, I like the characterization of all of the Digimon physically, and in terms of their animation, more than ever before. Like, it was cool seeing Metal Greymon like bite down with his jaw, and uses like Greymon using his tail a lot. And like the weirder like shaped Digimon, like Dundevimon. Like if Dundevimon was in the original Adventure, it would be a JPEG image, like shaking. But that like cool like spider crawl, which I don't like. I don't love the design of that character, but it just made me appreciate them. And I've never loved Togemon until 2020. I always thought Togemon was very stiff and silly looking, but then that first shot where Togemon beats up Dromojimon made me adore Togemon in like a way I never thought I would.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, Togemon always felt like this kind of like boring, like I understood Lilymon, I understood Palmon. Togemon was like, okay, I guess it's a cactus Mimi can ride, but like she actually has like fun personality in this show. Like,
yeah. And just, you know, that applies to a lot of the side Digimon as well. Like, I really didn't like the Seadramon episode, but I love the shot where they like slither up like onto Eldoradimon, and just that like snake-like motion is just something I feel like has been missed a lot when these Digimon shows do come out and they're not paying attention to like the physiology and the body types of the Digimon.
Yeah. Speaking of Togemon, though, I thought this episode was like, I guess I already alluded to like Mimi feeling like her characterization was out of place, but like the fact that like they kept framing it like they didn't have any weapons, but like Palmon does nothing, or like doesn't even try to do anything the whole episode. And it's what's going on?
Well, they have to have Joe fight, but they don't want. I feel a lot of how the show has changed has been receptive to criticism. And so I feel like Mimi being there might be because they didn't want to put Taichi in. But you can't have Mimi. I mean, you could have Rosemon show up. And I do remember a lot of original Digimon Adventure where they would allow the other Ultimates to show up before the new one was revealed. Like, I think, isn't Metal Greymon and Mega Kabuterimon in the Myotismon fight where Garudamon is revealed.
Oh, maybe. I don't remember that
Yeah,
episode too
I mean,
well.
I'm just trying to think of a moment where that may have happened.
Yeah.
But they don't allow the other kids to participate a lot of the times, just so they can they can have their moments, which I don't mind as much. But it is I hate saying the word lazy writing, but it's not attentive writing to not give a reason to that. And this show has done a lot of things where they've just asked you to accept stuff, and at this point, I'm kind of just accepting whatever they give me.
Yeah, this one just felt weird because it was like they talk about how the Blipmon has cannons that can't fire. They talk about how Banjamaimon has a bat that is missing, and then don't ask about Palmon.
No,
like they tried to give an explanation, and it's like, okay, don't actually think about the explanation.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. They want Joe to be Joe, and they want it to be like a Pokemon battle where it's Joe versus Olgamon, and it's just the two of them, which is why they're fighting for the pride of their what is it? Their pride as a leader is what they put on the line. So only they can fight with that because Joe's the quote leader, which I love that came around and ended up becoming a more like serious part of the character.
Yeah, I feel conflicted about it because it's like I feel like the joke about him wanting to be the leader so much is like a little mean spirited. It's like, Joe, we know you're a loser, but
yeah.
You keep thinking you're the leader.
I feel like it's less the leader and more like he can lead.
Yeah.
Which I think I don't think they're going to go into that nuance of the difference, like of being able to step up and lead versus wanting to be the guy in charge. But I like how, it starts with Tailmon thinking Ginkari taking it seriously when they're introduced, when Joe first is saying he's the leader. And I always loved that because it's like, you know what? Like, I like that Tailmon, the most serious character, actually is buying into this and being serious about it.
Yeah, it's like she respects the authority, even though she's the most qualified at that point. So, she's like, you said leader, so I gotta trust it.
Yeah, and then they're like, she gives him the power up afterwards in that episode where she's like, for our leader Joe, it's just good. And I think, here with his moment where he recruits Olegmon at the end and they come together, I think that's that's a good leader moment for him. It's not a great, bow tie on Joe's character, but for me, for 2020, it's a pretty satisfying one, I guess.
Yeah, for the standard they've set, I guess. Yeah. I did think, like you were saying, that the Mega Evolution itself was pretty nice. I thought there was some really nice lavish animation for the fight itself. It feels a little bit like it was reminding me of the Boltmon fight from the Rebellion episode, and I was like, do the animators just really love axes?
I think
whenever there are axes
it's
involved?
The same lead animator for this episode and the Rebellion episode. It's I think the animator's name is Shida. He worked on One Piece as well, because I know a lot of One Piece fans are wanting him back on One Piece. And when they announced, when the toy picture came out and people were thinking they were going to do a sequel to Adventure, all these One Piece fans were losing it. They're like, please let Shida out of Digimon hell. So I think it's the same animator the head animator who worked on this episode, also worked on the Boltmon episode. And I can tell his line work. I'm like hearing the name and then watching the episodes, I see how he his line work is with the characters now, especially when Palmon's drawn earlier in the episode. I like being able to see the differences in the artists even a little bit.
Yeah. I wish there was easier categorizations of looking up that stuff, because it's so much
it's a lot to translate to figure out who's worked on what. I think the YouTuber based Digimon, he did a video on the Rebellion episode, and he went on Twitter and he actually found a bunch of the animators who worked on it, and they were talking about what shots they worked on and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think that that Rebellion episode in particular was using a more global animation studio, so a lot of those animators were really public on Twitter.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they're mostly remote work, which is something that should really be. I mean, I think a lot of animators already in Japan generally are freelance working from home and stuff, so totally can be global, and I think they're leaning into that more. So that was cool to see all those global animators excited to share their the work that they'd done.
Yeah, they were it really did seem like they were excited about it.
Yeah, I didn't see that outpouring for this episode, so I might have just missed it, but
I don't think it was as spectacular. But I thought I loved the fight between Olegmon and Vikemon. The pairings in this show, like who they put up against who, is always fun. In terms of like just like the action, like these two Viking type characters going up against each other. I mean, but the Mega Evolutions have just been real whatever for me in terms of I felt like those earlier episodes we were getting, like the episode with Golemon and the episode with Shogun Gekkomon initially. I don't remember if there's another Joe episode before that, but I feel like a lot of those episodes sort of felt like the characters being, I don't want to say fully realized in terms of character development. It's more like fully realized, like the show finally has figured out who they want them to be. I feel like we already got that with them already. And then the Mega episodes are just sort of like a reiteration of that.
Yeah, I feel like the show's had a weird problem where like each character gets these focus episodes, and like sometimes they're just kind of like, oh, here's a shadow of a Mega Evolution. And sometimes it's the full Mega Evolution. And it's like the distinction between the two. It's like, this feels kind of random, why this is the big one, this one's a small one, but...
The way the kids react to it, too, like both Mimi and Joe, like, I do not like Digimon characters talking about their power. I have not appreciated the shonen aspects of this show a lot. I don't like Taichi's line before War Greymon coming out saying, let's show them our power. And that's what Joe says too. It's just like, this is not the priority of Digimon characters. They're not Goku. And it's a nitpick, I think. But it is, I do think this show's a lot more heavily shonen influenced than the original Digimon, but that just might be because of the animation quality.
Yeah, it's a little more like boiled down to its component parts kind of. So yeah, I think that shonen vibe totally makes sense. But I at least appreciate that like now we've got like there's fun mixed in that mix too.
So yeah, but I think overall this episode is, it was serviceable, and the fight at the end was good. I like Vikemon.
Yeah, I feel like overall, like, was it a perfect episode? No. Was it a fun episode? Yeah.
It was fun.
All right, so let's get into some 3 reviews from listeners. First off, from @Dak and Jackster, Captain Joseph Nobeard. It's weird referring to Joe as Joseph. I don't like that.
No, I don't either.
Something about that doesn't feel right to me.
Isn't it it's not Joseph. I don't think it's Joseph.
No. It's
Jonichi, isn't it? Or
I don't think it's actually short for Joe Noichi, but
it's Joe. No, it is just Joe.
Yeah.
Okay. I never thought about that, but yeah, Beardless Joe is a pirate. I like Joe as a pirate.
Yeah, it would be nice if they leaned into that more.
Yeah, I mean, just the jacket.
Yeah.
Him with the jacket and throwing that off was fun enough for me. But yeah, it would have been fun if they did more of a pirate type of episode. I would have loved having all of the characters say "arg" in like a similar way to like how Mimi was talking about like maracas, and
oh yeah,
I would have loved them to like do that a little bit with the pirate stuff.
Yeah, lean into the pirate theming in a fun way. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, we're saying pirate, we're saying shogun, we're saying Viking. I mean, there's lots of different things they're saying and not really leaning into.
Yeah. They just throw a bunch of words at the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's from CRR McRae, 22-second Taichi, which I just love.
Yeah, he was technically there, but not really.
Yeah, I thought that was a good little thing at the end of the episode to have. It felt like a punchline this time around because he just has to be in there. But usually he's just there kind of watching. This time he didn't even want to watch. He just has to be there.
I was kind of angry when he said the line is like, oh, as you know, we're just kind of going everywhere. And it's like, okay, you only do that on the nose. Like,
yeah, like he's had nothing to do for how many episodes? I guess it's only been since Millennium perished, whenever that was, like 10 episodes ago now.
Nothing to do and also everything to do.
Yeah,
too many things to do.
Yeah.
So Megajimon 22 said riding shotgun shoguns. Okay.
Gigadramon 22, more.
Translationmon said, Mimi, a coward?
Not my Mimi.
Yeah, this is hashtag not our Mimi.
Mimi was just trying to make Joe seem cool. That's my headcanon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mimi knows she's cool. She doesn't need to be cool anymore.
There could have been like a line or two explaining that. That would have been nice, but
Yeah, like maybe she's like says something to Palmon. Like, I'm going to let him handle this one. He needs it or something like that. So this one's from @Joseph Snosov, Babamon's snatched statue. And so this is a callback to that episode where Babamon says she used to be beautiful.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of apparently some people are annoyed that it's contradicting the quote-unquote lore that Babamon is an aged Rosemon, but like I thought this was kind of like half Rosemon, half Babamon. I thought it was nice. It's cute. It's funny.
I've never heard that lore.
Yeah, I don't know how much is actually represented, but like it raised a lot of questions with Babylon being in the Rosemont episode. And
Yeah. So it like confirmed it sort of.
Well, like, I mean, the only like what I thought was weird in that Rosemont episode was that like Babylon has the same necklace as Rosemont, and they like there's like a shot that lingers on Babylon's necklace, and they never like explain.
They like to put connections on screen but not explain them.
Yeah.
That's just their favorite thing to do in the show. It's to do the research, like put it in the show, and then not explain to anybody why it's cool. It's like we haven't released this episode yet, but when we got to the Machine Dramon episode, like the return of Machine Dramon, one of my co-hosts, Lexi, didn't even realize it was Machine Dramon because of how different it looked. And we take notes while we write. So she missed the one frame where Matt's like, I remember. And he just like flashes it for a second. And she totally missed it was the same Digimon because the animation quality is so different in the two episodes.
Yeah, that's one of those moments that's like in the original show that would have been like a conversation, but instead it's just like Yamato just has a thought to himself and doesn't say it to anyone.
Yeah, and they like to be real low key about it. Or like, in Zudomon's evolution, you see the shell like come onto him because if you read the reference book, it comes from a different Digimon. There's just all these little details there that are just never like told to the audience.
Yeah. Well, Andy Lucas OE said Dark Ocean confirmed. Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more like a dark island, but
I think this might be what's it called? The upcoming villain, the disaster.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me if 2020 took the visuals of the Dark Ocean and just turned it into something much more boring.
Yeah.
From Dorimiku, great leader Joe. And I want Joe to be acknowledged as the leader from everybody. I want there to be an unequivocal moment where Taichi makes a bad decision. And everyone says, no, we're not listening to you anymore.
You've been in too many episodes. You relinquish your role.
Yeah, you're done. And then it turns out that that Ghost game is a spinoff of this show, but it's just Joe. Joe's the only character who comes back.
That'll be good.
Yeah, and he's like the guy in the chair for all the other kids.
Well, PDX Anime said Hinga Dinga Durgan and Happy Leaf Erickson Day, which I don't get it. Sorry.
It's a SpongeBob reference. SpongeBob wakes up and it's, I don't know, like someday in September or March, and he's like, Happy Leaf Erickson Day, and then the episode has nothing to do with that.
Okay. SpongeBob references, I feel like they're either like they're so like foundational to the internet, or they're like, because it's just been on the air for so long. I'm like, is this from like a 20-year-old episode or like a couple weeks ago? And I don't know.
It's like a pretty couple like set of years that people tend to, people my age tend to reference. This is a pretty early one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, at least like when people like show like visual images of Simpsons, it's like you can tell the era of the Simpsons. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, even in those early seasons, they're drawn differently season to season. Like I can tell season 4 Simpsons from seasons like 6 Simpsons.
Yeah, but SpongeBob I see and I'm like, this could be from anywhere.
They went digital after season 1, so you can only tell season 1 apart from the rest. It's an interesting. I have a SpongeBob animation cell.
Nice.
This one's from Austin LC23. New favorite episode. It's not mine. I don't know what my favorite episode would be so far. What do you think?
I think, yeah, it's hard to say like episode. Actually, no, I think the Joe Potato Hell episode.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's up there just because like the show, I feel like that level of wackiness is something that hadn't been in Digimon before, and it's like,
oh my, the episode before that the one where Matt goes to hell.
Oh yeah,
which is. That episode was just so weird too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Digimon's always been like happy to play in like, the little Satan territory. But then the Joe thing at the end, it's just such a bonkers like solvency.
And that was such a like breath of fresh air because at the time I feel like those were like 2 of the first episodes that did any kind of fun stuff. And it was like, where was this?
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, complimenting, I don't know if this is a compliment to the show, but that episode too, where Joe meets up with Matt, that interrupted Joe's hot spring thing, which started all the way back in like, they get separated in like episode 31 or no, they get separated in episode like 28. I'm trying to think back through the numbers of the show. This is not something I should be thinking about right now. Yeah, but that's when that like storyline started, and that hot spring episode was only like, what was that episode, like 54, 55? Like that was only a couple episodes ago.
Oh yeah, where they go back.
And now they're paying it off with this one, which is, it just takes forever for them to do anything with what they lay out.
Yeah. That is one of the few through lines in the show where it's like Joe, that started in episode 20, and they've each time they've checked in, they've kind of built on it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's kind of cool.
It is cool. They did that with Mimi to a lesser extent with Golemon, with Togemon and Golemon fighting and then becoming friends, and then you meet up with them.
Yeah.
Those little vignette stories they were doing for a while with all the side characters. That was frustrating.
Well, Dot Yawning said Shogun Tono Bancho.
Shulis is cool said Gomamon's little coat, blue heart.
Bored Individual said spectacular Taichi usage.
Yes, 22 seconds. And then End Podcast says Gomamon Tukai Challenge, which I don't know what that is.
Yeah, Tukai. Sorry, above my head. So
there's a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to look into it.
The rabbit hole goes too far.
Yeah, it's too far.
It seems like a Power Rangers thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe Golemon's axes, where they came out of, that little compartment. That's a little robot Power Rangers type thing.
Yeah.
I'm stretching to make this work.
Yeah, we're stretching. Well, let's get into some listener questions and comments. Dak and Jaxter said, this was a really fun episode, but I don't think it fully capitalized on the Joe-Mimi pairing. Mimi so effortlessly falls into the role of leader, and that's a quality Joe is striving for. I think it's there, but they never bring it to dramatic foreground. Like when she's puppeteering Joe, that could have been her trying to restore his gusto after noticing his insecurities, though just throwing him under the bus because she's scared Olegmon was funny too. Lots of great character jokes, even Babamon with the statue. Yeah, I think we kind of hit on those notes earlier.
Yeah, this show has totally avoided any character conflict with the actual kids, except for that one episode where Sora and Matt briefly argued about saving Nemon. But then Matt was like, nah, I'm sorry for being an asshat. Excuse me, I didn't mean to.
Oh, no, that's fine.
That's okay.
That's so weird to think back. I forgot that they actually had an argument.
That's the only one I can think of.
I also remember when they're first dealing with Metal Tyrannomon, when Metal Greymon first appears, Taichi and Yamato have an argument about something. And
I wish they all just got together and tabletopped him together, as the champions.
Yeah, instead of Taichi will just do it solo.
Yeah, because that was when they finally all got together.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's weird because I feel like the tension between Taichi and Yamato is such a core I don't know, part of their ethos, their characterization.
Yes.
In this show, it's
there's none of it. There's just none of it at all. And early on, I thought Yamato was very refreshing. I liked Yamato's. I think it was episode 8 when he shows up at the little castle and helps everybody. It's such a refreshing moment at the end of that episode where he doesn't end up being a loner for 20 episodes, and he recognizes all those people are helping him and that he can have friends, and there's a real slow build to him sharing stuff with them early on, but that character development ends so early on that there's just been nothing to do with him since.
Yeah, I feel like it was well done in one episode and then they haven't touched it since then.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that he went from not wanting to make friends to learning how to share with people to being comfortable enough with Gabumon to admit he's his friend to being able to make a friend in one day with the motorcycle guy. But it's boring, I guess.
Yeah, and even that with the motorcycle, it's it seemed like he was able to make friends with Gabumon real quick because by the time we even saw that it was already Garurumon, and so is that actually a change?
That reveal in itself was so purposeless. Finding out what they did before before Taichi met them. And they just walked around in the same space and they kind of did the same thing as Taichi did.
Yeah, it was built up as oh, here's this answer you've been looking for. And it's what answer? What?
It feels like they remembered they led into it that way. But I like seeing Sunomon, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
You haven't seen any of them, any of the in training besides Sunomon and Koromon, which bums me out incredibly so.
Yeah, you have these cute designs. Also, it's weird with the card game. The card game has those baby forms and the eggs as an integral component, and they finally introduced eggs or explained more about eggs.
Yeah, after that moment with Patamon or whatever Patamon's baby form is early on.
Yeah, I guess we got the baby. Was Togemon there? I don't remember Togemon.
Yeah, Togemon was there. Togemon had its moment where it yelled to calm down. To calm down Machine Dramon, which is the first time you see the teeth, which is such a great shot.
I don't know. I forgot about his teeth.
Yeah, Togemon.
Well, Joseph Snosif asked, any guesses for the mystery of the missing onsen water? And I mean, I went back because I was confused. Earlier, Joe is in the onsen water and he just says he moves a rock and then ends up flying to a totally different area. So like this onsen water has never made sense.
Yeah, it's like a interconnects to a highway system underground, I guess.
I mean, it could be the same. Actually, this ties into the next question. Gigagerman22 asked, going to predict that what destroyed Olegmon's island is the great disaster that looms on the horizon for the series finale. Do you think it could be the miasma from the start of the season since it tainted the island and the sea? Or is that tied to Millenniumon? I forget. I also forget. Like, there's been a lot of elements of the show where they're like the Soundbirdmon, where they're like, they clearly set it up as being connected to Devimon. And then they stop appearing for like 30 episodes and they start appearing again. It's like, I tricked you. And it's like, no, you didn't trick us. You just
forgot about it.
Yeah, you forgot about it and strongly implied something. So, like, I guess, so they could pull anything. They could say miasma is now the great disaster. They could say
I think they'll relate it probably. I think, or maybe miasma's like, the rookie version of the great disaster. I'd love how the most like prominent villains in this show have been the Goo and the Black Lightning.
I forgot about the Black Lightning.
Yeah,
that stopped at some point, right? Like,
yeah, it kind of settled down once they met Commandomon. I feel like, or maybe I'm misremembering some stuff.
I think they did at one point like say I don't know. I think that like the other thing that's looming on the horizon that I'm worried about, after I got like a listener comment that mentioned it, is that like they haven't checked in on the human world in 30 episodes, and I'm worried once they do, it's going to be like, oh no, look at all this stuff that we missed. Like everything's gone to disaster in Tokyo. And it's like, well, why didn't you check in for?
Yeah,
I hope they don't pull that card.
I think the final battle is going to take place in Tokyo.
At this point, I would like the change of scenery. So I'm
I'm surprised they didn't do a larger at-home arc besides, Sora and Izzy and who else was there? Joe and Mimi sitting in the park.
Yeah, sitting in that same gazebo for like 6 episodes straight.
Yeah, it was, and then Kari just watching them.
Now that I think about it, like I guess that is a Tokyo arc. That's the monkey paws Tokyo arc,
and they did the Eismon arc as well, which I guess you do see Tokyo visually at least there. So you wouldn't really be bringing the audience into a new location. But the people change the vibe so much.
Yeah.
Like having the people have to like run away from the monsters is something that you need in Digimon at least a little bit. Like you need that. Oh my god, I can't believe I can't think of the word. That kaiju element.
Yeah, that kaiju element, like looking back at those episodes of Adventure and 02, where like a lot of Odaiba is like destroyed in Adventure, and then in 02 it's just as normal, and they're like, oh, don't think about it. Like I guess they rebuilt things in like 3 years. Like
there's like a lot of cool parts to that. Like isn't there like an episode in 02 where like the power goes out and there's like a fight in the dark? Like I'm probably just like an interesting logistical challenge, and I think this has probably been one of my least favorite versions of the digital world.
Yeah,
it feels like new Super Mario Brothers, for lack of a better comparison. Just real basic video game type like locations, and you need that. Like the phone booth on the beach is the most like Digimon digital world thing I can think of. And they're bringing it in like later to lead into the great disaster. But once again, it's been how many episodes since we've started like seen that? Like when they talked about the fridge, that was like 20 episodes ago now. That was episode 40. That was the episode where Sora and the tropical dragon Digimon
oh my god, that was 20. Jesus, that was
20 episodes ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I feel like I feel like Digimon has like 2 directions they can take the digital world. Either it can be really digital, like the like phone booths, like really weird, really digital, or they can just go like full on fantasy world.
Yeah.
And I feel like the show hasn't really done either of them, because like the parts of the world that I've enjoyed have been when there's actual places like the tree. But like those have been really few and far between.
It's usually just like desert or, the snow area or forest.
Yeah. It's like very basic backgrounds.
Yeah, and I like they once again they'll like slip little cool details in, like the forest, underneath the forest is all that metal plating. Like that's really cool. And I really like that, and it makes me think of Digimon World. I think the show takes a lot of cues from Digimon World, like in terms of its world. But Digimon World has besides like the metal stuff here and there, it's pretty basic as far as Digimon Worlds go.
Yeah. Speaking of like Digimon World references and stuff, like I just continue to be amazed by the art in the card game. Like I feel like the card game like pays respects to like so many aspects of the franchise in these ways that like you don't need to get it to understand it, but if you do, there's all these extra Easter eggs, and like even if you don't care about the Easter eggs, it still looks fantastic. And like,
Yeah, I just opened up a Battle of Omni box today.
oh yeah,
And just like the Weedmon card is pestering Monochromon at the store, like in Digimon World. And Weedmon was always the most like aggravating customer, like in that mini game. Or no, they changed from Digimon to Digimon. It's not true, but Weedmon's an irritating looking character.
yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, I really like the new card games art. I have yet to get into the actual game though.
Yeah, actually playing the game and stuff, and like looking at the artwork.
Yes,
fantastic.
yeah. I think Bandai just sent me a bunch of cards, so I think now that I actually have cards, I'm gonna try to play because I mean I can't get them anywhere.
Yeah, and like the normal card game advice of like, oh, you can just like, maybe buy like a starter deck and then buy the individual cards. And it's like, for this game, it's like, okay, so buying a decent deck costs $700.
Yeah, and the starter decks even now like are $30+, and they're supposed to be like 10, and those might be the Japanese sets. I don't even know.
Oh yeah, I think the base price for the English one's like 15 or so.
Yeah,
but
they're just still so inflated.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, all card games are going through this right now, or at least a lot of them are.
Yeah, at least it's a good sign that it's like, in demand and
people are interested,
money.
Which I'm happy about. I part of why I wanted Digimon 2020 to do well is just so people would get into it again.
Yeah. I think it's mostly done that. I mean, how do you feel about like, because are all three of your Baby Flame co-hosts new to Digimon? I don't remember.
No, two of my friends are not, and then my significant other, she grew up with the Spanish dub in Mexico.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's seen it, but she's not like a fan like me, so she has not rewatched it. But she's familiar with it, and she loves Billiam and has that like nostalgic childhood connection to the characters like that. Yeah,
I guess I haven't heard tons of stories of people who are like never watched Digimon before coming into it for this show. It's mainly just been for the old fans.
They need some games too. They need to get Digimon Survive out.
Yeah, that I really hope they're like, as that game keeps getting delayed and like is clearly in some kind of production hell, that they're also working on other games that aren't suffering from that.
Who knows though? I mean, I would, as like a fan of a show, like a franchise that isn't the most popular thing, I wish the sales numbers were always public. Like I'm like, are you healthy? Are you healthy, Digimon? Are you doing okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, they just announced a 02 movie, so I imagine they're pretty confident in their fan base's ability to sustain themselves if they're releasing content based off of something that's not the most well-known thing. Yeah.
That's, optimistic look at the future.
Yeah, I just want more Digimon stuff.
Yeah. Austin LC23 asked, did anyone else really dislike Shogun Gekumon's inclusion because of his debut episode, or was it just me? Actually, Billiam, I'm curious how you thought about it, because like I definitely had a very negative reaction to all the jokes in that debut episode of...
I didn't like it. I have yet to watch that episode again. I like Shogun Geckomon as a Digimon, but I didn't like the Gomamon storyline with that, like Gomamon as Shogun Geckomon's wife.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't like Shogun Gecko. Shogun Geckomon was kind of a creep in the first show, though, with Mimi, I guess. But then even it's just, no, he's not. He's asleep. And she's singing for him to wake him up. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking of it as like a Jabba the Hutt thing for some reason. That's not what happens. But I'm glad Shogun Geckomon is good enough to be with everyone, and that it seems like it's a good moment in the show. Not a moment. It seems like the characters are okay around Shogun Geckomon, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was enough of a creep. I don't think he should be redeemed, but like, if they are going to act like he's redeemed, this was fine. Like, he didn't continue to be a creep or anything, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I just didn't like his characters. I also think about a lot of this stuff as episodic stuff. So I'm like, if, they want to bring these two groups together, and the writer of this episode wanted to pick up on Shogun Geckomon and make him different, and, that was a quality that was not written in this episode. And they called them weird. So they were acknowledging, not in a moral sense, but in a, surface level value. I'm not going to defend Shogun Geckomon.
Yeah, we'll leave that to the Shogun stands.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
a whole army of them.
And what about the Gekomon? I mean, they all love him.
I'm trying to remember, were there Gekomon in this episode?
Were there? Am I imagining that they're Gekomon? No, there's Nanimon. There's Nanimon in this episode, which I love the Nanimon. Just being like Joe's buddies.
Yeah, they're another one that's like their entire premise borders around how creepy they are. I mean,
yeah, I just love that like secret Tamagotchi lore though. Like that they're the old kid. They're the old man Tamagotchi that slipped into the Digimon world and got real buff to survive. Just my favorite Digimon lore.
You start off saying you hated Digimon lore, but it has to be about old men.
Yeah, okay. I hate like the deep lore.
Yeah.
But like the individual creature lore, I think is real cool. Like, like the idea that this is like kind of a Marvel thing, but like when in the English dub, when they're talking about like Digichromazoid, like the metal material, like I think that's cool. Like details like that. But I don't care what server is plugged in that's running the digital world. That's just not something that's a concern of mine.
Yeah. PDX Anime asked, how would you feel as a viewer if they removed the Digi-Analyzer and opening narration to give the episode/series more time to breathe and explain the plot? I remember early on before there was an analyzer, I don't remember how long ago that was, but like it felt like the episode didn't have any like fun or levity, and like it was like a refresher to like have an actual joke.
Yeah. Didn't they have it at the beginning in the original, like in the opening of the show, like at the start of it?
Not at the very start, but I don't remember how many episodes it took.
Yeah, it was before Where Garurumon came about, because I remember Tentamon saying something about taking off Gabumon's pelt in that episode.
Yeah, I think they changed the position of it. Like it was.
They did. They put it at the end, like a couple episodes in. And then they started adding a couple sound effects to the intro. Like
all these little changes that like.
Yeah, that were so,
make it seem like they just didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, it really felt like that because it was just a couple of sound effects like each week, and you couldn't really tell if you weren't paying attention to it like I was. Because I was hoping they were going to do, this might just be an English dub thing actually, because the English dub of Digimon, the theme song changes when they unlock all the new forms, but I actually think that's footage from the closing credits that they don't use in the English dub. So I don't know if the Japanese version changes like that.
Oh yeah, I think they changed, maybe not the same point and not with the same ways, but I think they do a similar like adding Gatomon into the opening kind of thing.
Yeah, I was hoping they would do that a little bit, especially like it would have been cool like with that War Greymon shot and the Metal Greymon shot, like if those became fully, but they're real cool looking shots, so I'm glad they didn't change them. But if they were more like they're shaded a little bit, so maybe they could remove the shading and you can see the characters like they're unlocked like Super Smash Brothers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember what. I feel like there's a Digimon opening in Japanese that like has the character grayed out in the background, and then once they're actually the forms revealed, then they ungray them. But
it's Digimon Tamers. It's I'm almost certain it's Digimon Tamers, and there's the character shots that have like the yearbook style montages of all the Digimon in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they reveal them as they come up. I'm almost positive that is the show that does it.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like this show's like quote unquote problems or whatever we're complaining about, whether that's the show's problem or not, it's a different issue. The things that we wish they took more time to explain, I don't think it would be solved by giving the show an extra minute of runtime.
No, they just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that was something they really wanted to do, it would have been in the show, like at other points.
Yeah, the runtime's not the problem with that.
No, and I mean, there's so much. I mean, especially in like a lot of these episodes, especially earlier on, so much of it was just fighting. Like it would have been real easy to take time to do that, and it would have been easier for the animators.
Yeah. Well, Andy Lucas OE asked, in honor of Billiam appearing on the podcast, what cryptid would you base a Digimon on, and why would it be Mothman?
Still waiting on that Lost Tapes episode. I see Andy. Well, the Digimon Ghost game has a Yeti.
Yeah.
Kind of Digimon. I like him a lot. I'm a big fan of him. Is there like a Mothman type Digimon? I can't think of like a Digimon that would be an analog to Mothman.
I mean, so I'm not an expert on cryptids.
Do you know what
whatsoever.
Mothman looks like?
How is Mothman different from just a giant moth? Okay, he is a man.
He is a giant moth, basically, like, and a man, and possibly an owl as well.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on who you ask. Like, if you ask like somebody who knows what they're talking about, they'll say it was probably just an owl. But like, not me. I don't say that. Also, what's his name? Is it Mojimon?
Oh, I think like Mojamon?
Mojamon, yeah. Mojamon is very cryptid-like as well.
Yeah.
So I think Yeti's a good fit for Digimon.
Yeah, I was thinking like I feel like there's a lot of Yeti-esque or like the obvious one. I mean, obvious in Western culture at least. Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know, like there's lots of things like that you could connect to Digimon. I feel, but I wish there was more like in the lore presented in the episode. Like I was thinking about Loch Ness Monster, and then it's like, oh, you look it up, and Plesiomon is very Loch Ness Monster-esque. But like,
Yeah.
I guess to me that would make it feel more cryptic would be like if that was actually something that was touched upon in an episode that like this is a mythical creature no one's seen and stuff. But
there's that one I'm getting reminded of that one episode of Digimon Frontier with Tapermon, like in their dreams, and they don't they don't believe Tommy that it's real.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be something like that. I'm surprised how much I remember about Digimon until I start talking about it.
It's like in a deep encyclopedia that's never relevant or useful in normal life, and then
you just start referencing it. I think a Jersey Devil, which is like a
what's that?
Do you know the Jersey Devils? I think the lore behind it is it was like the 13th child of some Puritan woman, and it ended up being born a devil in New Jersey. Which just the fact that it's in New Jersey makes it so much funnier. It's like a goat kind of devil creature, and I think that would make a great Digimon because Digimon does have all those like satanic kind of Digimon like Belphamon, and who was the one in Mephistomon was in 2020? Is that who that is, or Mephistomon?
Was there not Belphamon too?
I don't know.
I guess it was just Mephistomon.
Am I getting them mixed up? No, it's not Belphamon. Belphamon has not showed up in 2020.
Right, Belphamon is what Mephistomon evolves into?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh wait, sorry. Belphamon. Okay, Belphamon was a thing in Savers.
Yes, that's the little baby creature thing that wakes up and gets real angry. Yeah, Mephistomon is who Yamato runs into and crucifies Gabumon.
Yeah. This Jersey Devil thing is so strange. Like I grew up in Philadelphia, and apparently this is lore specific to Southern New Jersey and Philadelphia folklore, and I never heard of it. Oh yeah,
this is a big thing. So, yeah, I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. You've missed a big cultural thing here. I don't know if it's that big. Who knows?
If you look to the left and right and you don't see New Jersey Devil, maybe you are the New Jersey Devil. So
okay,
maybe I'm the Jersey Devil.
Well, that would be podcast would be a perfect thing for a cryptid to do.
Megadramon22 asked, seeing as Marvel's What If starts this week, if you could pitch a Marvel-styled What If episode based on Digimon, what would your pitch be? And they say that their pitch would be Gatomon killing Kari before realizing they're partners and becoming the true daughter of Myotismon, and then they included a gif of Lady Devimon. That would be very dark.
That would be very dark. It's like that's what Devimon is trying to get Magna Angemon to do. He's like, kill that kid. Luckily, he said no. That'd been a darker story. I think I would just like to see more of the alternate evolutions in Digimon. And that's something I wish this show did a little bit more of. It'd be really cool to see. I mean, there's no Digimon protagonist who's had Victory Greymon as a partner, and it would have been cool to see more stuff like that. But they didn't start really dabbling into that until late into the show.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to have some kind of anthology shorts show that was actually all the different seasons and all the different scenarios. Like there's that there's a drama CD where they get the eggs mixed up in 02 and so they end up evolving into all sorts of other forms that are never in the show.
Fun stuff like that.
Yeah, if that had been a 5-minute short, that would have been so cool. But that would be a cool way to celebrate the entire franchise, get all different seasons, a different maybe 2 episodes per season or something. And yeah.
I would love to see them do some more multiverse stuff. I feel I don't know, because it has yet to be done, and it could be done really poorly. So it's like a monkey's paw to ask for this. But I think seeing more multiverse stuff in Digimon in general would be cool, though. Not that this is a scenario-driven what if style thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to in a lot of gacha games that have story events and the character story and stuff. It's if you actually try to track down the canonicity of when events are happening, it's oh, don't worry about it. I'll just don't even think about it.
It's all just happened.
Yeah, all just happening. So now seeing that becoming more mainstream with that stuff Marvel's doing, it's yeah, I mean, embrace it all the way. Just have it who cares what this is just crazy random stories.
Like what's his name? They had that X-Men actor, the Evan Peters, show up in WandaVision, and it ended up not being the character. But when I saw that, I was yeah, just do it. Who cares? Just people like him better than the other actor. Just put him in there and have these movies where it's them now. Just do it. Who cares? I would like to see some what if stuff with Digimon, though. I just can't think of any Like, I don't have the imagination of Gatomon killing Kari.
Yeah, like none immediately come to mind, but I'm sure like over the course of thinking about Digimon, you'd be like, oh man, this like things like how War Greymon and Black War Greymon got to fight. Like
Yeah.
that happened in the show. But like also there's I forget what it's called, but there is some card in the card game that is like Black War Greymon and War Greymon, like I think they're arm wrestling or they're playing the card game.
Yes, I know exactly the card you're talking about. I love that.
So like scenarios like that, like put like this iconic clash between Digimon, but like have them doing something silly. Like
I would like a lot of the sort of anti-heroes like Black War Greymon to end up becoming like friends. That's my what if thing that I would like to see. Like I would like to see like I'd like to see Ryu in Adventure. I mean, this is kind of a stretch, I think. And I think they would not do this because this is a lore thing. But I part of me's wondering if the first Digimon character they're talking about in this teaser is going to be Ryu.
Oh.
Because that's also a thread that's not been picked up in 02, is Ryu and Ken.
Yeah.
But I could see them not doing that because to make it more, accessible.
Yeah, I'm so like curious how they're going to handle like as soon as you start going back in time for like lore of adventure, like are they going to do something that contradicts Try? Are they going to not contradict Try? Like
well, they didn't really contradict Try and Kizuna.
Where like Kizuna like threaded such a like thin line of like, okay, we didn't contradict Try, we didn't contradict 02, like everything's not contradicted, everything's safe, but like if they go back in time, it's like I guess they could go back in time that's even before the stuff that's alluded to in Try.
Oh yeah, maybe. What if it was just... No, I wouldn't want to see what happened to them. I wouldn't. That would just be so boring. Oh, Dark Jedi got them. Okay.
Oh, Dark Jedi.
Yeah, I hope Dark Jedi is not the villain. That's what I hope. It'd be cool if they... I mean, it's one movie. I always have to think about that. So it's just going to be Davis and Ken probably in terms of like who they... But 02 has a smaller cast. So maybe they could focus on just Yoli, Cody, Davis, and Ken. Because TK and Kari had Try and they had a couple scenes in Kizuna. But they're such an essential part of that group though. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. We know so little information.
Yeah, it's just 2.5 years. We'll know more.
Oh, we're gonna be thirsty for any kind of news in those 2.5 years. So
I know, and by then the 02 reboot will have aired.
Were you excited for Kizuna before it came out?
I don't know. I think I was because of the character designs they put out, which I felt was making a statement against Try, was releasing those character designs of Matt and Taiso early on, because it felt so much more like how they used to look. I can't remember if I was excited for it though, because I know I wanted more adventure after Try because I didn't love Try and I wanted like one more revisit to it, but I don't think I was expecting high things from it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Try lowered the bar so far that like I'll watch it, but I'm not
Try something I don't want to revisit. I know that much, which it's just such a boring show. I like to think. It's so boring.
Well, looping all the way back to Adventure 2020.
Yeah.
To close out our thoughts on this episode, how would you rate this Joe episode out of 5 stars, and who would your MVP be?
Oh, out of 5 stars for this show, this is like a 4, I'd say. This is like a better episode for this show. But it's not one of the best episodes of the show. And my MVP for the episode, I don't know. That's an interesting question. Who's my standout? I think it's Olegmon. I just like Olegmon, and we barely talked about him, but I mean, he was one of the highlights of Fusion as well. And I like how if I remember correctly, in Fusion, he was also presented like as a villain first, and then you got to know him better, right? Yeah, I just like that, and I like the solvency of them working together, even if they find the island with all the supplies 2 seconds later. To me, the real solvency of the episode is them deciding to all go at it together, and I like that aspects of it. So I think Olegmon smiling when Joe says, "How about you listen to the leader now?" That's what makes him the MVP of this episode. That he's excited to like follow Joe afterwards.
I guess we don't see how, like, if they're going to be traveling together once they reach the land permanently. So. But like, I like the idea that like they're not traveling together, and Joe just basically like asserts his dominance. Says like, "You're gonna follow me now." And then they get there and he leaves and he's like, okay, bye. I just want to make sure that you knew that I was the leader. Like, I'm the dominant one.
Now you figure everything else out.
Yeah, like you can go now, but like, I just wanted to make sure we all know. And then Taichi shows up, and then okay, never mind. He's not leaving anymore.
Yeah. But maybe in like a big final, like big final character battle, they come back, or maybe they'll just be in a montage at the end when Taichi saves everyone.
You're probably not wrong. But yeah, I think I'll also give this episode 4 stars because like it was fun. It wasn't trying to be anything more than fun, and it looked kind of good. But yeah, it's just a good okay episode. Okay. But my MVP, without a doubt, is Joe's jacket. Like,
oh, absolutely. He looked so cool. Yeah. Joe needs sunglasses. There needs to be some Digimon media that puts sunglasses on Joe.
As much as I did not like that Tonosama Gegamon episode before, like the moment of Goemon having the sunglasses and like...
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was A+.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
But next episode is going to be about Takaru trying to save El Doradimon or something. We see Gravimon, who is another Death General from Cross Wars / Fusion.
It's interesting they're pulling from that. From the way this show was going, I was expecting them to like do the Royal Knights and all that.
Yeah, I wonder if they like, because I feel like in the Digimon fandom, it's like, oh my god, don't say the Royal Knights again.
Yeah, they avoided it on purpose. I mean, I guess the Dark Generals in a way are like, they kind of have a similar group vibe, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't know if that frustration with the Royal Knights, if it's on the Japanese side too, if it's just the English fandom that is exhausted by them, but I don't know. I think they're fine.
Yeah, I think they're fine too. Plus, they've in my memories, right? They've never actually done all of them. Like they show up in Savers, and then there's 2 fights with 2 of them. And in Frontier, it's only Crusadermon and Lord Knightmon.
Wait, no, Crusadermon and Lord Knightmon are the same one. That always confuses me.
Okay, so yeah, I get so confused because I opened those cards today and I saw Lord Knightmon on that, and so I'm like, oh, Crusadermon must be the other one.
No, that's so because I think the card game has been very, very consistent with using the English dub terminology, except not with Lord Knightmon, which I don't know why.
I think because I don't know, maybe that was like a Frontier decision because they.
But I think they carried it through with the video games and stuff, and.
I'm not as familiar with the video games.
But I think in terms of all the Royal Knights appearing, I think Cyber Sleuth has all of them.
Yeah, that's true. I'm thinking of it more in terms of the show though, and the anime. I was also surprised the show didn't do the Demon Lords or anything like that, and just it's in terms of they don't do arcs. That's why. That's why they can't do a group.
Now that you mention it, it's so weird that Frontier has a Royal Knights, Sabers has a Royal Knights, X Evolution has a Royal Knights, Tri kind of has a Royal Knights, and they never actually have them all, or
no, they don't.
At least in those 3 where they in those first 3 where they refer to them as a group and they're not all there, and it's like, why did you use this idea when you didn't even have the whole group formed yet? You didn't, because I think at that point in the franchise history they hadn't come up with all the designs. I think Jessamon was only revealed in 2014 or 15 or something. So it's like, why do this before you finished the group?
Maybe they didn't know they were gonna add more. Who knows?
Yeah, it's strange.
Also, this is just another side tangent. Is Lalamon, and I see that Sunflowmon is that what that Digimon's called? Sunflowmon? Lalamon turns into? But are they the only other partners we've seen in this show that have been partnered to other anime protagonists?
Oh.
I think I can't think of any others that have appeared besides Lalamon.
Wait, when did Lalamon appear?
The oh my gosh, who turns into Palmon? The Yokomon. The Yokomon turned into them. And then in the preview for 61, there's a Sunflowmon, or whatever Lalamon turns into. And I can't think of any other I keep wanting to call them starters because of Pokemon. Yeah. I can't think of any other protagonist partners that have been in the show besides that.
Yeah, I can't think of any others because that's such a weird topic to address. I guess they've had, oh my god, the giant bird from Frontier, Velgurmon, is technically Koichi.
Yeah, that's true. But that feels more because they also used the Kraken girl, who I can't remember her name of right now. So they used a couple of those Frontier Digimon. So I kind of viewed it more that's kind of a gray area, I feel like.
Yeah, or I think it'd be less of a gray area if it was a Goonimon.
Yes, it would be, or if it was the lion, the real version that he gets later.
Oh yeah, Kaiser or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. He's in 2 episodes. Is that Digimon?
Yeah. even the birds in so few. It's
yeah, and he looks awful in this show. In Adventure 2020, that was one of my least favorite fights. It just looks. They did not like birds in this show.
The anti-bird agenda.
Yeah, but Bergermon started looking real good towards the end.
Yeah, like that soccer episode that apparently was 20 whole episodes ago. Jesus. Like Gridamon looked fantastic in that.
Yeah, that was incredible. And also just the fact that like you saying Jesus to it being 20 episodes, and I'm just realizing that's almost half a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh
God.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
And that's the last episode I've released of my podcast.
Oh no. I know it's like to have that build up and then be like, oh God, I need to get it out.
Yeah, that's I was trying to do week by week. I couldn't. So good on you.
Well, at least except for the times when it's more than 7 days behind. It's like, oh no, now they're probably.
Oh, well, I mean, even still, 7 days behind. If you were to add 7 days for each episode I'm behind on, I think I'd still be like way over.
Well, to close out the episode, do you want to recommend a non-Digimon piece of media you've been enjoying lately?
Yeah, so I've been working like the past 3 weeks on my next video, and it's still going to take me another 2 weeks, and it's all about the TV show Lost.
Oh, nice.
Are you a Lost fan at all?
I am a big Lost fan, and I've been in the middle of rewatching it for the past couple months.
Oh, have you been? I'm getting through season 6 right now.
Oh yeah, season 6 is a whole.
I like it actually. I'm surprised because I watched it when it was on, so this is like my second or third time watching it, and I really like the Flash Sideways storyline. I was surprised.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the Flash Sideways sequences more and more this time, but like the stuff that's not the Flash Sideways, I'm like, why is any of this even happening? Like,
oh yeah, with like Jacob and the Man in Black, and just such an interesting. I guess the smoke monster is a Digimon in some way. I'm gonna make a Digimon joke when they're speculating on what it is. I just don't know what yet.
Oh yeah, I also watched your recent what was the name of the show? Flight 29 Down.
Oh,
the kids lost.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so weird to revisit that and be like, yeah, that. I don't think I actually watched that much of it, maybe a couple episodes when it was on, but like this was just like, well, I mean, it was much more survivalist and like.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I watched Castaway a few days ago, and I watched Island of Lost Souls last night. I've just been watching all this island media, and Digimon's island media too.
Oh yeah,
I can't get away from it. But yeah, so I guess I could recommend Lost if you have not gone through that. It's a ride, and I think it's worth going through.
Nice. Do you have a favorite season of Lost?
I think 4 and 5 actually, which I would have never guessed on this rewatch. But I think the storytelling's a lot more like tight. Like both season 5 and 4 have real strong book endings and openers that like tie together. And I think time travel is actually the perfect like storytelling mechanism for Lost, especially after 5 seasons of flashbacks every single episode. It just freshens things up really well.
Yeah, that season finale of 5 is like such an interesting idea.
Yeah. And I mean, I just season 6 is, I don't hate it, but it did not live up to that moment and like waiting for that season to start after that thing happens.
Yeah.
But it's an incredible show. I really do enjoy it, and I'm hoping I can maybe steer the how people remember that show into a more positive direction.
Yeah, I feel like it gets like an unfair, like, oh my God, the ending was terrible, or like.
Yeah, and just so many people were obsessed with answers to the questions, and there are interviews I'm trying to get through, and the writers will complain about these questions the audience has that I've never even considered asking, and it's like the pressure they were under to be one of the first serialized shows during the internet. It just is like immense.
It's also so weird to look at. I don't know if you followed Damon Lindelof's more recent works, like Leftovers or Watchmen.
I'm going to try to watch Watchmen before I finish the last season of Lost.
Yeah, that's much more manageable than 3 seasons of Leftovers. But Leftovers is the first season is so hard to get through, but like 2 and 3 are so great. But it's obviously a bigger project to get through.
But they're not Lost length seasons though.
No,
they're like 10 episode seasons, not those 25 episode just bulky things.
But it's so weird to look at like because when Lost was airing, they were doing Damon Lindelof and Carl Cuse were doing a I think weekly podcast.
Yeah, that's where I drew the line of my research. I was not going to get into those.
But those podcasts, like, they don't really get to answers. Like, they're just like, it's so weird to see how much like podcasting is, because that was like the very beginning of podcasting, and like that like. So Damon Lindelof did a podcast for Watchmen that is like as Watchmen was coming out, there's only like 3 episodes, but it was like so much like, it was so interesting to see how podcasting has evolved since in those intermediate years, because like those I've listened to clips of them the lost ones, and like they're kind of painful to get through because
Oh, I bet they are.
like the audience has all these questions, they're not answering them, they're just kind of being like joking around about things on set and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how people listen to this.
Yeah.
I was listening to an interview where he talked about when he was asked to do it, and they were just like, "We're getting paid to talk to nobody, sure," and they would just go and like mess around with each other.
Which like that's fun for them to do, but as a listening experience, like
yes, but ABC wanted it for some reason.
Oh yeah.
It was a very fan-driven show, though, so I understand why they wanted to.
Yeah.
But what about you? Are you watching anything?
Well, I'm going to recommend something that I finished reading a while back, and I realized I had recommended a long time ago the first book in this duology. An absolutely remarkable thing is the first book.
Oh, the Hank Green?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had the audiobook downloaded for about a year now.
Oh yeah, I actually first time I read the first book, it was through audiobook, and then I went back and read it as actual text later. But the audiobook's really good. And so if people don't remember how I pitched this book a long time ago, the first book is basically like an allegory for dealing with internet fame and like how that can like both elevate your life and also completely destroy it, which is very interesting to hear from Hank Green himself, who like has totally dealt with that. And the sequel, which is called A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, is I think less about those like resonant metaphors and a little bit more about the like actual payoff of the sci-fi questions that the first book asked. And I think the first book has more cool sci-fi ideas. Second book's sci-fi ideas are pretty cool, but not quite as interesting as the first books. But it does get into a lot more like about the like societal changes that rapid technological advances can cause that felt especially resonant reading, like as people are dealing with technological like the misinformation that technology has caused and stuff, and like so yeah, it's still a very, very interesting conclusion to the duology.
I'm going to prioritize reading it a little bit more.
Yeah, the first book especially is like fantastic. And
yeah, I kind of forgot that it was on my reading list until you just mentioned it now. But I think I'm going to try to go back to that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I know personally, like it's something that felt especially resonant to me because it's like about someone who's like trying to be like a creator, and then she just like blows up in fame, and it's like, is this a good or bad thing for her? I don't know. With personal experience, you're obviously a much bigger audience. Like I don't know if that's
I'm actually this is a little sneak peek exclusive. I'm actually kind of thinking about like working on like a short film.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's kind of dealing with the same kind of themes. And I have yet to decide if it's a good or a bad thing yet, because I think with film a little bit when you have a little bit lesser of a window to explore an idea, people pay attention to the decisions you make a lot more. And so it's going to be a short film, so meaning that like this character who's seeking fame, like depending on whether or not like I think ends up good or bad is like how I feel about it, and I can't think about it. I can't come up with it's just it's, I think a lot of people like in their 20s right now, social media is actually just like a job option for them. I mean, it's such a, not to talk about the state of the world, but the world's a scary place, and people are wanting to find more fulfillment with their life, and the powers that be don't want people to be paid well. So and I don't know. I've started to complex my idea of internet fame and just fame in general has started to grow more complex recently, and I do kind of want to think about it more as not in terms of how it means to me, but I do want to explore it in terms of like it as a means of survival, I guess. I don't know. But I think I have a pretty healthy relationship though to my audience and being known. Luckily, I don't. I can go out and be anonymous. I think I have the right level of internet fame.
Yeah.
I get noticed occasionally, and it's great, but I don't have to be anxious about getting like noticed and mobbed when I go outside. But yeah, it is something I ponder a lot. I don't know if I have any thoughts on it though. Like this is what I think about it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting to like hear. Well, I mean, it's indirect because it's through fiction, but like Hank Green, his thoughts on it, because it's like he's obviously like, because a lot of it's like it feels so like condemning, like being absorbed by Twitter, but then it's like he's still using it and doing this stuff himself. So.
And when I think about like the the Green brothers, it's like they're so extended too. It's not just
I don't know how they do like
brothers. It's
a million different projects at once. Like
their education projects and the books, and John Green's probably in like studio in like meetings all the time, like for people adapting his works. It's like
Yeah.
It's just I have no idea how they have teams that they can hire a lot of people. That's how they can do what they do.
But even managing the people they hire, like
yeah, yes, yeah. But if you can afford to hire good teams, though, and have the resources to, I mean, I've heard him talk about how he views, like he has it sounds like he has a very good relationship, like collaboratively with his employees.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like to think that, he probably has some people who manage like the science channel he does, and maybe, I don't know. I would love to know how they do it. But I know hiring people, so I don't like to compare myself to people like that because they have teams, and I shouldn't compare my output to people who have a whole squad behind them.
Well, I guess that brings us to the end of the show. This episode of Pottages was brought to you by Joe's Jacket. Have you struggled to get people to respect you for 59 episodes, even though you keep making dramatic poses and have even wielded Thor's hammer? Turns out all you need to do is dramatically wear a jacket without putting your arms through the sleeves. Last week's Digiprompt was, what Digimon would you like to see trap the kids and give them a series of riddles? And everyone agreed that it should be Nefertimon. Obvious Sphinx answer. I should have predicted that.
Oh, yeah, good answer.
And I have not thought of the Digiprompt for this week yet, so stay tuned on Twitter for the question next week. And send any feedback to pottages@gmail.com, to @pottages on Twitter, or in the episode comments on pottages.com. You can check out the show notes to find a link to join our Discord server and share the podcast with your friends who will selfishly hide behind you when they're scared, but then use your body as a puppet to boost your own confidence, I guess. And if this is your first episode, you can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever else you find podcasts. Billiam, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a blast.
Oh, yeah, I had so much fun. I mean, I'm sorry if we went on too many tangents. I can just talk Digimon. Like, I can talk a lot. I'm sorry.
Well, if people want to find more of your work online, where can they check you out?
I'm on Twitter and YouTube primarily. I'm hoping to get on TikTok soon. But if you just look up Billiam on YouTube or Billiam THIES on Twitter, you should be able to find me pretty easily.
Awesome. Yeah, go check out his videos, Digimon retrospectives if you haven't. Are there any in particular you want to point people to?
Yeah, I think my Digimon, I was about to say my Digimon Tamers retrospective, but I'm not feeling Digimon Tamers recently for various reasons. But if you want to check out maybe the Digimon podcast we record, it's every 5 episodes or so. The new episode will hopefully be up within the next week or so. We'll see. But that's where all my modern Digimon content's put, is my second channel. So keep up with it there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I also recommend people to check out the, we recently took a year basically, but finally put out an episode about Kizuna, and you can also check out Billiam's review of that.
Yeah, I do have a Kizuna and a recent Digimon movie review that is pretty, I like both of those.
Oh yeah, revisiting the Digimon the movie.
Yeah, more comparative to the original films as opposed to just watching the Digimon movie.
Nice. Well, and if you want to find me, I'm always definitely Jeff on Twitter. But stay tuned if you want to hear our thoughts on the titles and synopses up to episode 64. But otherwise, thank you everyone for listening, and I'll be back next week to talk about episode 61, A Place to Return to. Bye.
Bye.
And remember, never stop Digivolving. So here we're going to be talking about titles up through episode 64. So if you don't want spoilers, here's what you can check out. So episode 61 is, the one that was previewed, Takaru, Where I Want to Return to, whatever. I think we kind of already talked about that. But episode 62 is Shakuamon's Tears. I did not expect Shakuamon.
No, we were just talking about partner Digimon to show up.
Yeah.
Which is also weird because this is an Angemon.
Evolution.
So maybe like late season episode 62 edition is Cody.
I guess it's the kind of thing that shouldn't actually be a quote unquote betrayal or anything, but it just feels weird.
It does feel weird, and I don't think that's the show's fault. That's just Digimon fans being annoying.
Yeah, this is something that if they had if there was a precedent for it, would be totally acceptable. But it's this is a weird time to I wonder if they're going to introduce it and then keep winking and nodding, they'll have Angemon I don't know, like making knowing glances at Shikuamon or something, and they'll never explain it, and they'll be like, well, if you get it, you get it.
Or there's something familiar, like he was saying with like Devimon,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that kind of vibe. And then when the show comes back in 2 years, we'll find out Shikuamon and Angemon actually have this deep past.
I mean, they don't, in the summary, don't even mention Takaru, so maybe it's just Sora and Taichi in that episode.
Yeah, that's true. I would, yeah. I was thinking of 61. Like,
Oh, yeah.
just because we've seen visuals for that one, which I just want to say, I think Gravimon versus Eldoradomon's hilarious. Like, just Gravity versus Eldoradomon's a funny setup.
You're a giant turtle? No more. You're just gonna float in the air.
I'm also happy Nemon's coming back for episode 62, though. So
Yeah, what a random poll to bring back Neemon.
a random poll was Waymon in episode 59.
And then they like, you should care about this Digimon you clearly know and love, and it's like
that's of all the characters you brought back, this is the first one that I have not given a shit about.
Yeah.
It's like the Waymon you met in the tube. Like, okay.
So, yeah, that like I guess shows how much of a Koshiro stan Nanamon was, that he like remembered more than we did.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot he was a fan at the end of Koshiro. Yeah. Like his reputation's starting to. It would have been cool, like in that one episode where he hits the satellite and the crest shows up like everywhere. It would have been cool if, like, I don't know, Izzy, just spray painted that everywhere in the digital world.
He's just a graffiti artist.
Yeah. I think we need a Digidestined who's a graffiti artist and tags their crest everywhere.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, speaking of tagging things, episode 63 is Crest of Courage.
All right.
They're finally naming, and it seems like Valkyrimon, I don't know how you actually pronounce it, Valkyrimon is going to be in the episode, which is, I think, exciting.
And I need to see who Valkyrimon is real quick.
I'm familiar with them as like what Sylphimon would have evolved into if they gave.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So that's another one that's like kind of tied to 02, like Shikuamon is.
Yeah, interesting.
But not explicitly.
Yeah, a little less so. Is this Digimon in because there's that like Holy City in Fusion. Is this Digimon present in that?
Oh, my Fusion knowledge is like so hazy.
No, I don't think so. I'm on the DigiWiki. It does not appear to be so. But that's kind of cool. Looks like it'll sort of be a Taichi getting challenged episode again, like the like that water episode, maybe.
The water episode.
The episode with Gaosmon and Tyrannomon.
Oh yeah, I feel like Taichi's had so many of his like episodes that I'm like, oh, I don't remember which one at this point.
Yeah, that one was it had been a while before that episode where we got a Taichi one.
Yeah. I guess I'm like I think I'm just a sucker because I see this being titled The Crest of Courage, and I'm like, I'm actually kind of excited to see how they like try to like. They have the potential to like justify why Taichi's been going around everywhere, and then like his being the last one to activate. And I don't think they're going to pull it off well.
No,
but,
I don't think so either.
But I'm like excited by the chance that maybe they will. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I'm happy we're getting another Sora episode. Going back to 62, because Sora's been a real stinker for this series, I think, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, like I liked that there actually was a character conflict in her Mega Evolution episode, but it was like the fact that it was like almost the same conflict as like episode 3 of the original show.
Yeah, it's like, is that episode 3 where she doesn't want her to fight? I mean, I know her first episode is episode 3, but I can't remember her not wanting. I do remember that happening.
I don't think it's like not wanting her to fight, but it's like them not getting along.
Oh yeah. I feel like the parents is such a missing element of the show. Like, because it doesn't make sense that Sora's not Sora in this show, like how she was originally, with that having trouble to like, be affectionate, I guess. It doesn't make sense without her mom.
I feel like there have been a lot of complaints about Koshiro, them not addressing whether he's adopted or whether he's upset about that or not.
Yeah, because they did flash back to that. They mentioned that early on, like when they go to Tokyo. They ask him if he's okay, and he doesn't respond.
He's like, oh, my family, ... And they never have explained that.
God, I would love to know, like, what their initial plan was for this show. Like, from day one, what their outline looked like.
And it was just like, make sure Sora does not get love. No one likes her.
It's just so, because they do mention that, and they also flash to Sora's mom, like where they imply that she's like has a bigger presence in her life, like she was being harsh on her. But who knows? I mean, this show might have just been doing that to like as a fan thing,
right? I could just be like, oh, here you go, here you recognize the design, cool.
Yeah, like Joe's brother, which I thought Joe's brother had a nice moment where he gives Joe the bag and is like, yeah, go ignore our parents, like go out and do whatever you're gonna do. And then Ty's mom's been in it a whole lot, just looking for Kari.
Yeah, Ty's mom at this point, it's like, has she noticed that they've disappeared? I mean,
Yeah, I would love to know. And I would love to know what's going on with the time difference.
yeah.
Did they just fix that? Like, Koshiro's like, I hacked it and now it's not that way anymore. So did he just like change the physics of the digital world?
I think the time difference is still unchanged, but like it's really hard like to reason with because they haven't actually given us evidence one way or the other. So it's like,
Yeah, like how long? Like if they were gonna be like that meteor is gonna impact in like 30 seconds, but for us it's closer to whatever. You know, they watch a news broadcast and Taichi reacts to somebody saying it's gonna hit real soon, and then Koshiro's like, no, actually for us it's this long. Just once again, they just need to. We're stupid as an audience. We are stupid. You need to tell us.
yeah, that's why I'm worried that like they're gonna be like, oh, surprise, we haven't checked in on them in like 30 episodes, and now everything's in chaos. Tokyo is like,
also Leomon shows up in 61.
oh yeah.
Is it close to the? Is it like we're getting close to the end here?
Yeah, like, are they gonna lean into that joke or?
Who knows?
I mean,
I feel like if you have Leomon and Digimon, you are just setting him up to die. Like there's nothing else you have to do besides introduce him to set him up to die. So it's like I'm waiting for it, but
Yeah.
I can't picture this show doing a character death.
I mean, they did Ogremon, and then kind of brought him back.
Yeah,
That was so
they
long
did
ago.
but Ogremon would be much different than Leomon. Ogremon at that point in the show like was nobody. It's just, he and Taichi had fun when they fought, or he and Greymon. That's like the whole thing. But Leomon's the guy.
Yeah, especially for like an episode focused on Takaru. Like, does everyone want to like give the weightiest episode to the smallest kid? Like, that would be strange.
I mean, who knows if Leomon will even die?
Yeah, but yeah, the last episode, it seems like they're gonna reunite at the tree. The Angel's Determination. It seems like it's probably gonna be like both Afanimon and.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of like that, but I mean, I like it for the efficiency's sake. But the fact that they have the Kari in the Takaru episode before this is just kind of like, I didn't think you needed that. I think, oh, no, you know what? No, I take it back. That Hikari episode, that was very definitive for her, I feel like. Yeah. Hikari, excuse me. I always mispronounce it. It's Hikari, like the wood.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna give like, you're gonna choose one thing to give them as separate episodes and one thing to give them together, like it makes sense to characterize them separately and then give them evolutions together.
Yeah, I agree, actually, now that I've talked this through. But I mean, even though it's 3 episodes, that I don't know who knows if it'll be dedicated to them though. That episode, it's weird. It's weird thinking that this show's going to be over 2 episodes after this 64.
Yeah, I mean, I think the actual like exact number is up in the air because I think that's
66 not confirmed.
It's like no, like it's never been like the source for that was like a listing on like a website that wasn't that definitive. It was like a Toei Animation like Europe website or something that like. And then it was taken down and stuff. So like that could have been like pre-COVID, could have been adjusted post-COVID. Like there are a lot of factors that could change things. But
when does Ghost Games start? When is it supposed to? October?
Oh, yeah, I think October, which I think lines up with 66 roughly. So like
okay, so it might still just be that.
Yeah, but like it definitely, if they've released up through 64, they might just not release 65 and 66 or something, or like
like maybe this is the end of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely seems to be leading. I mean, if they're reuniting after figuring out the mystery of the crests, and then the angels appear, and then the final battle, I guess that could be the end of the show.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like we're right at the precipice of the end of the show, though.
No, it really does. It's such a what a weird show. They're villains. Like the big villains in this show are just not built up at all, and it's so like Millenniummon was such a wet blanket after being built up. As exciting as the episode was, as like a one-off, it just was. I was expecting more, like in terms of like arc-based storytelling.
Expecting him to actually like, well, I don't know about like have lines, but like
maybe have lines, beat them once. I mean, not in the episode before they go and beat him, but like midway through that arc, like have them get beat up by Chimeramon or. Have the Vademon. They could have had a Vademon episode that would have made the henchmen like more threatening, and that would have tied everything together a little bit more.
I think the weirdest thing about that was that like Millenniummon was the ancient threat that they fought in the past when they were like ancient warriors or whatever, but like they resolved that, and like these characters who previously fought that in an ancient like a previous life, whatever, most of them don't remember, I guess, but like Tailmon does, and like they never really talk about the fact that they like finished that. you like close that loop and like
They have a sentence.
yeah, it's just like, oh,
And
we did it.
also, I feel like at the beginning of the show, they were hyping up the Megas to be against whatever the holy Digimon battle was.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they don't really pay that off.
and they came afterwards. Like they didn't even need.
Yeah.
They just needed War Greymon. Like,
Which is, I mean, I truthfully think that one episode is a great one-off. I do, because just the absurdity of the scale
yeah,
between Holy Dramon, God Dramon, and Millenniumon is just so crazy that it just it ends up being exciting, but it's just so it's based off of nothing that came before it, I feel like.
yeah, a great like animation spectacle, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
the overall story.
It's just whatever. I mean, I was really hoping that was going to be like the beginning of Millenniumon, is when they finally got to him, and then the rest of the show.
Yeah, especially because like they've been spending the whole time trying to avoid him being revived, and they failed. Okay, but it didn't really matter. They failed because just beat him in one episode anyway. So
And then I was kind of, because, you know, Zed Millenniumon does all the space-time stuff, and that they have not been to the real world yet. I thought that was their like window. I thought Zed Millenniumon was what was going to bring them into the real world. And I thought we were going to see in-training Digimon when they got to the real world. I thought a lot about this show.
I'm surprised. I feel like in listening to Baby Flame, like I feel like you come off much more positive there. I didn't expect these negative thoughts.
Feel like because we're talking about one episode at a time, versus now we're at 60 episodes. So I'm starting to see the show as a whole. And I still enjoy watching it every single week. I do. I watch it at like when it drops on Crunchyroll. But I am starting to see the whole picture now, and I'm starting to formulate my thoughts of the series as a whole, which as a whole, I am not a fan. Yeah, but I am enjoying it, and I do. And it's just, I don't think this is going to be something I want to revisit in the similar ways that I want to revisit the other shows.
Yeah. Or maybe like, I think I might want to revisit like select episodes and select fight scenes.
And I am going to rewatch the whole thing eventually to do like a big review video of it. But I don't know. I feel like they should do an English dub before I do that, because I've talked about all the other English dubs. And I feel like in terms of, you know, a broad audience thing, it makes sense to wait for that. But who knows if they'll do that?
Yeah, I don't
the
even know.
show's so violent. I don't know how they could.
Yeah, like these days, who is an English dub of this kind of thing? Is it for kids? I mean, because the show definitely seems like it's more for kids than for adults. But
absolutely. But I mean, Mephistomon. Like you can't have that in a Western release for kids. And just like, you know, Greymon slicing open Seadramon. There's like a million little scenes here and there that they'd have to cut. But I mean, 4Kids tried One Piece, so
yeah. I mean, I feel like the things in here aren't that controversial, but also I don't know what it's like for actual kids programming.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, it goes to TV 14, like the rating of Digimon for the American ratings. So who knows? I mean, I have no idea if it'd be worth it for them.
I don't even know like what platforms, because
I think Netflix, like, because Pokemon Journeys has done really well on Netflix.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think doing 13 episode at a time drops for this. I don't know though, because you know that 13 to 26 span is going to be a real bummer for people watching.
Here's one bad dump of episodes, and then
yeah,
wait
and
for the next one.
It's like the first two are going to be like, okay, who knows though? Who knows if they'll bring the show over?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to speculate on.
Yeah.